An aggressive specialist named Isabel Rubin drives a hand-picked group to dial back maturing. With a commitment of the most current clinical treatment and a cutting-edge office, rich individuals multitude to be more youthful. Notwithstanding, Mia, the spouse of the organization's proprietor, before long finds a secret truth behind the magical fix. Mia, a promising equestrian, treasures Carrot, her pony. On the greatest days, they become one body and sight. In any case, she additionally second-guesses herself, assuming that she takes its opportunity. That night, the equestrian goes into their room in her birthday suit to start closeness with her significant other. Sadly, he won't connect with her. Mia goes downstairs and opens the mail from Thomas's business partner, Dr. Isabel Rubin. She sees a close-up image of what looks like human skin with 14 kerned on it. Thomas watches a video interview with Isabel the next day about their upcoming state-of-the-art facility and a medical treatment for restoring youth. The aggressive specialist makes sense of that. For the time being, their clients are essentially male because of their interesting natural qualities. In any case, from now on, it very well may be utilized by ladies, including herself, who have a complex natural organization. The questioner poses provoking inquiries with respect to the treatment's viability and its ground to ethical quality. However, the doctor reverses the situation by stressing that aging is a disease that requires treatment. A short time later, Thomas calls Isabel to talk with her about the matter. During her morning run, Maya chances upon Nika, a neighbor's caretaker, and the child under her consideration. Without a moment to spare, Isabel welcomes the ladies, remarking on the wonderful child and the caretaker's flawless hair. The specialist contacts Nika's hair, snaring it in her ring. As Isabel attempts to free her hand, she tactfully pulls the caretaker's hair strands and places them in her pocket. Mia leads the doctor to their house and talks about the horse's perfect body, which is perfect for conception, but Thomas knocks on the door and interrupts them. The finance manager proclaims to Isabel that this task should be confidential until they have an adequate number of assets to help the offices. Isabel makes sense of that. Their point ought to be to spearhead this clinical treatment. However, Thomas contends that the advancement isn't over stage 1 and is as yet exploratory. To persuade him, she shows photos of a male client, Peter, from a year prior, who looks many years more youthful in his ongoing photograph. Thomas is surprised by this result, so Isabel stands her ground and asserts that wealthy individuals do not care about policies or approval. The company will not have to worry about money if that happens. Regardless of this, Thomas demands that he's the plant's proprietor, so he immovably reminds the specialist to avoid anything without his endorsement, and she acknowledges his requests. Prior to leaving, Isabel approaches Maya to tell her she's exquisite. Mia Riley answers that it'd be better for the specialist to impart that data to Thomas since he'll certainly pay attention to her. The more seasoned woman encourages her on the most proficient method to definitely stand out. So Night, the equestrian, dresses herself up, which enamors her better half, which makes things work out as expected. The intimacy grows quickly, but he suddenly turns away from Maya, which upsets the woman. The man demands that he can't give his better half what she needs because of his fruitlessness, which demolishes Maya's fomentation, so she leaves. In the meantime, Nika's returning when a man out of nowhere finds her. She continues strolling, yet after a couple of steps, she tumbles to the ground, deadened. Seconds after the fact, a little truck stops next to her and hauls the lady inside. She tries to stay awake, but she overhears two men say that the medicine they gave her is a cow-friendly cosmetic. Then, the babysitter turns oblivious as the man gets a bar and warms its tip. In the meantime, Maya gets back to their room, and 2 or 3 makes up by embracing one another. Then again, Nika stirs and hears the outsider squabble about the startling barrier. So she takes this risk to push the entryway open and carry out of the vehicle. As the truck drives off, she hides behind the bushes. The following day, Isabel meets with another client, Johansson, who wishes to look more youthful. To discuss the new procedure, Isabel instructs the man to sign the non-disclosure agreement. Subsequently, the specialist presents their clients' portfolios to show the treatment's validity. Then at that point, she composes the sum that the man needs to pay in crypto. They promptly start the readiness, for example, gathering male seed, a mouth swab, and blood extraction. The patient pushes more about the treatment, yet the specialist disregards him. With this, the man communicates his distress about being kept in obscurity, so Isabel ushers him out. Thomas, on the other hand, makes his smoothie for breakfast. Maya questions the nature of enhancements they produce in their production. production line. Taking note of that, the marking is off base since her significant other is a veterinarian, not a clinical specialist. He makes a point by requesting that Mia suppose Isabel's age. She says the specialist is around 40. However, Thomas says she's 61, stunning his better half. Out of nowhere, somebody beats on their entryway and Maya opens it for Nika, who's rumpled and ridiculous. Thomas quickly sees her shoulder with D17 consumed on it, making him distracted. His better half advises him to bring a towel. However, he brings somebody via telephone, all things considered. Maya necessitates to yell at him again for him to bring the towel. The equestrian solaces the lady. However, Thomas demands taking her to the clinic, so Mia persuades the babysitter to go with him. The equestrian calls her husband to tell him to come back soon as she becomes more concerned as the sun sets. Notwithstanding, that night, Thomas actually hasn't returned, so she calls the closest medical clinics, yet none has conceded a woman named Nika. In the interim, Thomas's vehicle at long last stops beyond an apparently deserted office. The entryway unexpectedly opens, and the one who took Nika yesterday hauls her into the structure. The finance manager gets amazed after seeing the lady being pulled. However, he never really helps her. Because of Mia's uneasiness, she opens Thomas's PC to follow his telephone area. In the nick of time, a message from her significant other shows up. Nika's hospitalized to tell her that. She takes out her keys to the car when she realizes that the message and her husband's location are different. Thomas, on the other hand, goes into the building to look for Isabel. Here, he defies her about the one who hauled Nika. The specialist illuminates him that he's an overseer she employed. His assistant is known as Pig, while he is referred to as Dog. The proprietor explains that he thought the ladies chipped in, and Isabel states it is absurd. However, it's anything but an issue, since this is not at all permanent. Thomas feebly communicates compassion for the ladies. The doctor looks at a picture of a woman named Ellie on her computer and does not respond. After seeing her, Thomas conveys his culpability, so Isabel strokes his shoulders and lovingly murmurs that she'll assist him with getting past this. The man unexpectedly stands and leaves the room as the specialist hollers at him not to hinder the undertaking. At the point when Thomas leaves the office, Maya shows up. The woman walks into an abandoned building, and the floor suddenly collapses as she moves around. She saves herself and resumes examining the spot. Maya finds the enhancements her better half's organization sells. Before long, she hears a crying lady and follows the sound. She sees a lady tied on a table and K9 cruelly shocks her. Abruptly, Pig digs out from a deficit Maya, yet she battles the more seasoned man and takes off. Tragically, she excursions and falls. The more established man smiles at her, yet when she pivots, K9 takes her out. Mia recovers cognizance and winds up being hauled by K9 into a fixed room. When Thomas finally gets home, he finds that Maya found him where he was. He calls Isabel, and she affirms Maya's there. With this, he makes a beeline for the office. In the meantime, K9 orders Maya to change garments before him. She bravely denies, however, before long finds out. The overseer implies business, so the lady agrees out of dread. Subsequent to transforming, she sees the entryway open. K9 gets her, ties her arms, puts conduit tape on her mouth, and concentrates her blood. The man warms a metal bar and consumes Mia's shoulders, marking her with a 34A. He then, at that point, gives the injury his P, and the lady shouts in torment. Then again, Thomas at last shows up at the office searching for Maya. When he meets the caretaker, he tells him that Maya is different from the others. The man answers that the test will discover that. Then, at that point, he gets a call from Isabel, requesting him to permit Thomas to see Maya for 5 minutes. At the point when several meets, Maya communicates outrage towards her better half, however, separates before long. Rather than safeguarding his significant other, Thomas cautions Maya not to escape all alone since they could wind up dead. Yet he vows to get her out soon. He then leaves his wife, leaving her to weep in despair. The specialist tranquilly calls Thomas across the passage and cautions him not to meddle, or Maya could get injured. She takes the man's telephone and orders him not to leave the premises. Maya, on the other hand, searches the room for anything of use. Then at that point, the alert rings as Nika goes around the office, attempting to get away. She asks for assistance and ends up in front of the equestrian's room. Pig shows up behind Nika and crushes her head with a metal bar. The two guardians nonchalantly tidy up the wreck, leaving Maya in shock. Simultaneously, Isabel meets with Johansson once more. This time, the more seasoned man is extremely eager to seek treatment, since he by and by sees another man who looks 20 years more youthful because of the treatment. With this, Isabel raises the cost by half, and the rich man gets the open door. A short time later, the specialist continues her examination with one of the ladies as K9 helps her. She cautions the guardian not to contact the subjects with his masculine longings, particularly Maya, since she's fundamental. Simultaneously, Thomas sneaks to Maya's entryway, lastly opens the room. After various endeavors, the couple reunites, yet Maya recalls the image of 14K, so she asks her better half what her identity is. Thomas admits that the young lady's name is Ellie, whom he met a half-year prior at a party he and Isabel joined in. The specialist presented the woman, saying she's his sort. Thomas specifies that everything was hazy, yet he recalls Ellie needing to be restricted. Then the following thing he knew was that her dormant body was on the bed as he peered through the window. The specialist was the person who affirmed she's no more. Mia is struck with the realization that she will never come out because of Isabel and Thomas's secret. A while later, her better half revisitations of his room, letting Maya be. A couple of seconds after the fact, Isabel calls Thomas and shows him the new expansion to their office, the Biopack. Here, she's ready to develop undeveloped organisms by purchasing ovaries abroad. She does, however, acknowledge that incorporating the client's DNA will soon resolve some issues. Thomas makes the light-hearted joke that the doctor can live 180 years, to which she responds that she is having trouble finding a match. Isabel deftly persuades her business partner that they can achieve their objectives, particularly financial ones. Before long, Thomas hauls Maya to where Isabel, K9, and Pig are. He pronounces that she knows excessively and should be dealt with. Maya cries in pain as her better half surrenders to Isabel's requests. After a short contention on who'll discard the lady, Thomas wins, as he needs to end this himself. He snatches a blade and hauls Maya out. Thomas releases Mia in the foyer to get away. However, the overseers see them. The pursuit starts, and the spouse endeavors to impede the followers as Pig beats him oblivious, while K9 searches for Maya. In contrast, the horseman comes across a car, but it won't start. Eventually, K9 catches her once more. In the interim, Pig enters Isabel's office, illuminating her that she at last has a DNA match, which is Maya. K9 plans to take out Maya when Pig shows up to recover her for the system. Once more, she's taken out and recovers awareness, attached to a surgical table. The specialist tranquilly inspects her ovaries to search for a solid egg. As Maya wails quietly, she starts to embed a client's seed into it. After that, Dog takes her to her new cell, where she sees other women, some of them, including Ellie, who is still alive, are expecting. Here, Maya meets Julie, who's pregnant. The lady poses her inquiries about the chance of getaway. The other woman in the cell next to them, Helena, is crying in pain. Ellie addresses Maya, and the equestrian tells her that her significant other idea she was dead. The pregnant lady answers that she's deceived by Isabel, saying she'll be delivered, assuming she sticks to the script. K9 hears the upheaval and finds Helena whining in torment. She makes sense of that her tooth throbs, and the merciless man pulls it with pincers. He staples the woman's mouth shut when she can't stop crying. Ellie can't bear the scene, so she affronts K9. The man goes to her cell and thumps her, notwithstanding being pregnant, and her water promptly breaks. K9 frenzies and hurries to call Isabel. Luckily, the child is conceived well, yet Ellie doesn't be able to contact her youngster, as the specialist leaves with the baby. Following a couple of hours, the guardian shows up for certain provisions, so Maya intentionally pees on the floor, driving him crazy. Maya seizes the opportunity to fight him when he enters the cell. Regardless of being overwhelmed, Maya snatches the man's blade from his pocket and cuts him. Sadly, the man chokes her and very nearly losing her breath. Julie gets the blade on K9's side and wounds him on his back. The lady shouts at Maya to get the keys, and she effectively liberates the women. Julie, Ellie, Maya, and the peaceful lady all go out to track down the child. They find a room with a foul smell, yet Mia hurls in disdain when she opens it. The peaceful lady eliminates the holder cover, and they see children's bodies tossed like trash. They hear a child's cry and race to the sound. In the meantime, Helena smoothly moves toward the draining K9 afloor. She supports him and persuades him on how solid he is. All the while, Thomas recaptures cognizance and searches for certain weapons and keys. He looks for Maya and opens one of the cells, finding two different ladies. He gives them the key and advises them to free the others. In the lab, Isabel, helped by Pig, scales the child's back leisurely as the baby cries in torment. Ellie and the others show up, not long before the specialist takes apart the child. Nonetheless, they stop their assault as Isabel takes steps to cut the newborn child. The specialist takes the risk to escape as Pig obstructs the women. Notwithstanding, the four ladies battle him angrily. Mia wraps Pig's neck in the chain Maya grabbed from the wall because he continues to dominate them. Then, at that point, she advises the ladies to pull the two closures, and the man at long last capitulates to his end. Ellie comforts the infant she left on the counter by giving him a firm hug. Mia promptly looks for Isabel. However, K9 shows up, walking while at the same time looking for her, so she conceals in the storage. Be that as it may, the unhinged man sees her concealing spot. Thomas calls out to her suddenly. K9 shuts the storage and stows away, while the spouse searches for his significant other. The guardian chokes Thomas utilizing a security fencing, and the two men battle for their life. Thomas is losing seriously. Yet Maya gets away from the storage and snatches the electric taser that Thomas drops. She shocks K9, taking him out. In the meantime, Isabel heads to her lab to take her DNA tests prior to getting away. As she hustles out of the office, she runs into the liberated ladies who wildly assault her, breaking her valuable test tubes. Sooner or later, K9 stirs attached to a metal compartment, while Isabel is limited to a post. The overseer keeps his pride by yelling at the ladies, encompassing him, like he did to all of them after branding them. Mia's companion, the quiet woman, stands on top of him and urinates on him. The ladies chuckle jokingly, and a portion of the women wait to deal with beat him with a metal shaft. As the ladies holler in fulfillment, Helena unfastens Isabel, advising her to help K9. The specialist snatches the screwdriver close to her. However, her casualties before long encompass her. She realizes she will not have the option to get away, so she cuts her heart, all things being equal, and implodes on the floor. Everybody turns quiet. Now that their nightmare is over, some people cry and sigh in relief. Before long, the police and heroes show up. A while later, Maya makes reference to that the occasions were concealed, since there's no record of any client's name, and just photographs of exceptionally compelling men were recovered. She also testifies that her husband is innocent, and nobody bothers to find out the truth. Mia and Thomas recover their serene life, and their adoration for one another develops in the wake of conquering the difficulties. Beside that, Thomas shows what him can do as a recharged individual when he acknowledges Nika, Maya's child,